a man who is part of the process front and center. 100,000 possibilities and 4,000 computers. I think I got the numbers right. From the National Football League home office, the man of the hour right now, Mike North, NFL VP of Broadcast Planning and Scheduling. Good to see you again, Mike. How are you, sir?
Doing great, Rich. Thank you. Got my dose of schedule, Rizzy, so there you go.
It's so funny. All right, we're going to jump right into it, Mike. When you're sitting there looking at the Steelers' schedule, did you look at it through the lens of Rodgers is going to be the quarterback, or you really can't assume that sort of thing? Because you put the Steelers right in the home of the Jets week 1, Mike.
Yeah, look, assume nothing with Aaron, right? So I don't know any more than you do.
Right.
Steelers-Jets still sounds like a football game, like Howard Katz would say.
Nice.
Look, I think if we knew for certain he was there and he'd signed already, probably would have done something a little different with Steelers-Jets. Sounds like a Monday night game or a Thursday night game, something in a national window. As it is, it's in the middle of a Sunday afternoon with 8, 9 other games going on. If we knew he was coming, I'm not sure that's what we would have done with it. So kind of tried to play it down the middle. If he comes, great. If he doesn't, Steelers, Jets, still a good 1 o'clock anchor for CBS in week 1. Steelers, Packers, still a good NBC game in week 8. Steelers, Bills, still a good Sunday afternoon doubleheader game on CBS Thanksgiving weekend. Steelers are still the Steelers, right? Coach has never had a losing season. They're always in the playoff hunt. You roll the dice on the teams that you think are going to matter. The Steelers usually do. They certainly probably get a little more interesting with a certain future Hall of Fame quarterback under center.
And then the concept of these standalone, big, huge, marquee window games, Thanksgiving, obviously, kickoff being another one. Mike, I've known you for quite some time. We've had these conversations on air, off air for some time. I got to be honest with you, I don't recall the last time you and the rest of the crew at scheduling served up so much filet mignon in the biggest spots. Normally you do spread it out a little bit. Cowboys at Eagles first night. The Thanksgiving schedule is as blockbuster as they come, certainly with the middle game that already is the largest regular season audience, usually in and year out, with the Cowboys hosting the Chiefs this time around. Why did you guys and ladies decide to do this, Mike?
It's a function of a couple of things. The first one was just the way the 272 matched up this year, just the way the rotations worked with which division was playing which, the standings-based games. There's a lot of really good stuff in there, especially like you think about AFC North, NFC North. You got Packers, Bears, Lions playing, Ravens, Steelers, Bengals. Like they just sound like football games. And so there was a lot of really good quality inventory that the fans are going to care about, they're going to be interested in, they're going to find. So you could afford to take maybe 3, 4, 5 right off the top. Most years you take the 3 or 4 or 5 best games off the list, and you start to wonder if you've got enough left to feed the Sunday afternoon, the Sunday night, the Monday night, the Thursday night. This year we felt like we had the depth, we had the inventory, we had the quality, and it was really Hans Schroeder runs a scheduling team who really kind of first had the idea, why wouldn't we test the ceiling? Why wouldn't we take the Ferrari out of the garage? What could a Chiefs-Cowboys game do on Thanksgiving Day afternoon? And like you said, we get 42, 43 million for Cowboys Commanders, Cowboys Giants. We haven't really hit, struck gold with 2 teams playing that day, both with winning records and a good game. Last time was probably Cowboys Raiders a few years ago where it went into overtime. Like, it's been a while, and Hans was pretty convicted that we should at least be open to trying it. I, of course, told him, no, that's a terrible idea.
Yes.
But he went to David Burson from CBS, had a conversation, went to the commissioner, and everybody started to get pretty comfortable with the idea if we could see what the rest of the schedule would look like. So one of the early paths was, what would it look like with Chiefs Cowboys on Thanksgiving? Run it again, run it again, run it again. Hey, there's a plenty good Sunday night, Monday night, Thursday night doubleheader schedule in here, even with Chiefs Cowboys on Thanksgiving. So we got comfortable with it and excited to see what it can do. What if we could push 48, 49, 50 million viewers for a regular season game? That's unthinkable not that long ago.
And then, not that long ago, you only had 4 broadcast partners to deal with. Now you got 8, including
a lot of mouths to feed,
including us, here in NFL Network, right? And
I assume that's the first thing you look at, right? Which games you're going to do play-by-play for, right?
Mike, there's an I in my first and last name. Are you kidding me? Who are you talking to, Mike? Get out of here. Come on. But when you talk about these games and the mouths to feed, how much does RG1 does put of his thumb on the scale? Because obviously, he runs essentially an organization that is a partner, a broadcast partner as well. How much is he involved?
Intimately. He trusts the team. Obviously, Howard Katz ran this process for 20 years, really kind of did a lot of it in his head.
Wow.
Hans Schroeder took over a couple of years ago as Howard transitioned to eventual retirement. I hope he's not gone forever. I hope he'll still take our calls. But Hans has been a little bit more data-driven, a little bit more analytics-focused, and kind of like with that Thanksgiving game, why do it the same way you've done it year after year? Why not try to innovate a little bit, try something different? All right, if it works, great. If it doesn't, that's okay. We tried something. And so can we feed the beast, right? Can we still keep Sunday Night Football the number one show on television? Can we still build Amazon as the streaming home of Thursday Night Football? Is there still room for Peacock and YouTube to have good games? The fans will find them if they're good. And that's sort of been the mantra these last couple of years. The London and the Europe games, they're 9:30 in the morning here in the East Coast in this country. So it's not necessarily all about the television viewership. That's not a big TV window, but there's a floor there too. There's a ceiling that we could push there too. That Miami Kansas City game in Germany a few years ago did 10 million. So trying to make sure there's good games for the international partners, good game for all the primes, good game week one, good game for ESPN Plus, good game for Thanksgiving, good game for Christmas. Obviously, none of us know. Season doesn't even start for 4 months. The December games don't roll around for 7 more months. So we're all just guessing. But there was enough good inventory this year that felt like for all the mouths we had to feed, we had enough nourishment for everybody. We'll see how it works out.
Yeah, it's a new television world, right? I mean, when you got 3 Christmas games on for the NFL, 2 of them on Netflix wrapped around an Amazon Prime Video game, right? I mean, all of it, I should mention, available right here on Roku. Mike North here on the Rich Eisen Show. I've got mouths to feed too, Mike. NFL broadcast planning and scheduling vice president here on the Rich Eisen Show. Let's talk about the international games because you mentioned how the phrase of taking the Ferrari out of the garage by putting big time matchups in big time spots already on the schedule. So I guess are you taking the Aston Martin or Range Rover out of the garage? I'm trying to come up with all the UK based car companies because what I'm pointing out is that it's forced. There's 1 game in Dublin and then 3 games in London, all in one full month of 4 windows of football for fans to enjoy here in the United States. But you've got the Vikings on the road in 2 different countries. That's the first time that's ever happened. And then I'm sure there's going to be folks in the NFL offices who are going to be spending a month plus in Europe. Are we piloting something for a full year in Europe? Is this something that you guys are talking about?
Commissioner
Mike?
Goodell has been very clear about his vision for our international slate. This is the most we've ever played. It was not easy, but he keeps talking about 8, 10, 12, maybe someday 16 international games. This is probably the tip of the iceberg. Yeah, I think we're going to keep trying to do it. And kind of like you said, you do them all right in a row, fans can get conditioned. And, every Sunday morning, wake up, more football. You're talking about, what, 12, more than 12, right? 15 hours of NFL football. That's a fun day. And to do it over and over and over again in September and October. Yeah, I think we are conditioning the fans. I think we're conditioning ourselves. I think we're conditioning our teams. That's sort of where the Minnesota thing came from. I had reached out to all the clubs that were potential opponents for all the host teams internationally and said, look, you can see the schedule. Vikings, you travel to Pittsburgh this year. They're hosting a game in Dublin. You're a candidate. And then another call a day later. Hey, you see the Browns schedule. You're an opponent for them in Cleveland. They're hosting a game in London. It was actually Commissioner Goodell who said, do you think they might be interested in doubling up and playing them both? To which, again, I said, absolutely not. That's crazy. Wrong again. I called the Vikings, and, they went from open-minded to intrigued to eager and willing. And another chance to innovate, another chance to try something different. The Jags have done it the last couple of years, played a game, stayed, played another game, but this is the first time, same team, two different countries, both on the road. Strategically, I'm sure they were thinking about, very easily could have been scheduled for at Pittsburgh and at Cleveland in December in the snow. And instead you get those games out of the way early. You don't have to play them in the snow. God knows what the weather's going to be like over there, but I'm sure there was something strategic that the Vikings thought made sense for them, not just from a marketing standpoint, but also from the football side. And once coach got on board with it, it was going to be hard for the rest of the operations team to say, hey, we're not going to be able to make this work. They're going to make it work, and we'll all learn a little something.
When I spoke to you last night on the NFL Network schedule release show, you said, I'm just getting through. We gave the schedules to the teams and the broadcast partners, and that's just one set of circumstances. You will have to deal with the ripples in the pond of that stone that you threw in. And you said, well, tomorrow, meaning today, you'd be dealing with all the other broadcast partners who now see what you gave the other broadcast partners. Are you through those phone calls now, Mike? Or
yeah, I don't think we heard anything we didn't expect. I mean, I think we knew that the Bengals were going to be a little disappointed playing on the road on a short week in Baltimore yet again. We absolutely had schedules where that Baltimore-Cincy Thanksgiving game was in Cincinnati. This just happened to be the one that got to the commissioner's desk and got his stamp of approval on it. From a broadcast partner side, like we said, they all looked at their schedules and said, hey, looks great. And then they saw everybody else's. And now, NBC saying, wait a minute, why did ESPN get Eagles Packers? Or Amazon is saying, why did Fox get Philly Buffalo? We wanted that for Black Friday. Like, Hans always says, focus on what you got, not what you didn't get. And sometimes we have to remind everybody of that.
Mm-hmm. And then what are the anomalies that you wish you could have avoided, but you couldn't with these schedules? What are the ones where, I did see the Ravens are one of three teams that have 3 straight road games, but that's surrounded by 2 different 3-game home stands. And it starts in week 5 with the 3-game homestand wrapped around a bye, then 3 in a row on the road, and then 3 more in a row at home before finishing with 3 out of 4 on the road. And I'm wondering, when you look at this stuff, do you say, let's take one more shot at it, or sometimes it's just the way you have to make the omelet here?
Look, I'm not sure a 3-game homestand is a competitive disadvantage. I would argue probably the other way. Maybe the Steelers and the Browns and the Bengals are looking at that Ravens schedule and saying, yeah, they do have a 3-game road trip in there, but 2 3-game homestands, like, that's not fair to us. That's too good for them.
Mm-hmm.
You and I have been doing this together long enough. It wasn't that long ago. We had schedules with 8, 9, 10, 11 3-game road trips on it. I'm not sure a 3-game road trip is a thing. I'm not sure it's a competitive disadvantage to somebody. We play back-to-back road games in this league, obviously, all the time. Nobody bats an eye. So you're really just talking about that third of 3. If you win that one, you can't say that the 3-game road trip was competitively unfair. So, yeah, it's something we monitor. It's something the teams are sensitive about, maybe more so about not having a home game, for a month for the fans. But that could happen with a away stretch, which the team's never going to complain about, or like the Vikings going across the pond to play 2 and come back to their bye. Like, it happens. We're trying to figure out exactly where that line is in terms of what is competitively unfair. We talk to the coaches, we talk to the general managers. Donna Ponte from the league office looks at every schedule. Obviously, the commissioner looks at every schedule. A schedule with quote unquote only 3-game road trips on it, I think we'd say is a win, but very comfortable playing a schedule with 5 or 6 3-game road trips as long as they're the right 3-game road trips.
Okay. And lastly for you, Mike, there's always a concert or a tour, or once upon a time, if I'm not mistaken, a papal visit that went into stadiums that created some havoc that you needed to, for you, that you needed to work around. What about this 2025 schedule? What are those interesting nuggets?
Interesting notes. Billy Joel was touring and had a health issue, or he fell and he hurt himself or something, so he had to put his tour on hold. And once he started feeling better, he wanted to restart his tour. Those dates started coming across our desk more like April.
Ooh.
So some of that was a bit of a late curveball. Paul McCartney's going out, so obviously there's a lot of buildings vying for his services. I think the most interesting one, maybe Chris Brown. Chris Brown has SoFi in LA week 2. He booked that months ago before we booked the Chargers to go to Brazil. So when the Chargers realized they were going to Brazil in week 1, we always try to give everybody at least a home game, if not a bye, coming back from an international trip. There's no bye in week 2.
Right.
So, hey, Chargers, happy to bring you back to a home game after Brazil like we did last year for the Eagles and the Packers. but your building's blocked. Chris Brown's using it. We'll try to find you somewhere to go week 2, but it ain't going to be SoFi. And didn't want to really send them to the Giants or any of their East Coast trips. We were hoping to send them to Vegas. Nice close trip. Their building's blocked. They got a boxing match and a UNLV game on Saturday. I called the Raiders and I asked them, hey, not so much for your division rival Chargers, but more for the league. Would you be able to play on Monday that week? And they agreed to move some stuff around. So they're going to host Monday night. So the Chargers do come back from Brazil to a road game, but at least it's to Vegas and it's on a Monday night. So they do get a little extra rest. Going to be a very busy weekend in Vegas with a fight and a college game and a Chargers Raiders game on Monday. So appreciate everybody accommodating our requests.
I love the backstory. I knew there's always got to be one of them. And Billy Joel, right? The glass houses. That you're living in, right? I'm just trying to come up with it. I couldn't even come up with it. Suze, you're the Billy Joel expert. I don't know
that
what
was
it is.
a rough turn.
I don't know. I mean, what else? They're moving out? Some of these people. All right, very good. Mike, thanks for the time. Cancun next for you? What do we got?
Always a pleasure. No, not yet.
Okay. Right.
You know, there's still some I's to dot and T's to cross. And honestly, we'll start thinking about the 26 schedule soon enough.
Come on. Really? Really?
Hey, we know most of the matchups, right? Only 3 of them are standings based. So we know all but, 48 of the matchups. So we've got 230 of them.
Right.
Yeah, let's start thinking about it.
Okay.
Can't wait. Get right back to it.
Suze, you got one?
Mike, do you get any kind of like suspicious or interesting boxes of chocolate? Do you get lewd for this? Do you get
Yeah, what about that?
You know, maybe a great scotch.
And by the way, HR is listening.
They all know better. We can't be bought.
That's right.
Nobody's thrilled. Nobody's sending scotch. They're all just a little disappointed, maybe.
Right.
That's probably right where we should be. Everybody gets something. Nobody gets everything.
Well,
we tell our kids the same thing. You know, you get what you get. You
That's right.
You know, you don't get upset.
But that's what it is.
Don't worry about them.
And they
Worry
still get
about
upset.
you.
They still get upset.
Thanks for the call, Mike. Greatly appreciate
Always
it.
a pleasure,
Take
guys.
care.
Take
That's
care.
Mike North, 30th season with the NFL, 27th in the broadcasting department. Kudos to them and to Howard Katz, who's mentioned multiple times. Catch the Rich Eisen Show live weekdays from 12 to 3 p.m. Eastern on Roku Sports Channel in the U.S.